P.U.S.H. Pray Until Something Happens. The Kayla and Andrew Story. A complete Christian romance audio story.
As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the Los Angeles skyline with hues of amber and rose, Dr. Andrew Madden stood alone in his penthouse office. The towering glass windows framed a view that was the envy of many, a glittering city beneath him. At 40, Andrew was a world-renowned neurosurgeon, a published author, and a speaker at prestigious international conferences. Yet despite the accolades, a gnawing restlessness settled heavily in his chest, like an anchor refusing to let him drift. "Lord, I'm grateful for all you've blessed me with," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the distant sounds of the bustling city. His reflection shimmered against the glass, but it felt like a stranger looking back. "But I feel like there's something more." A breeze, soft yet unmistakable, whispered in his spirit, urging him to listen. Moravian Falls. Andrew's heart raced. "What?" he thought, disbelief flooding his mind. "Leave this place. Go to Moravian Falls." Clenching his fists, he protested in his mind. "But Lord, my practice, my patience, what about the good I can do here? The equipment, the resources?" The answer was unwavering and gentle. "Trust me." Sinking into the plush leather of his chair, Andrew trembled as uncertainty tightened its grip around him. He had always followed God's path, but this felt like an unthinkable leap into the unknown. 3,000 miles away, in a cramped apartment in Maine, Kayla Montgomery sat on a cold bathroom floor, her heart racing just as Andrew's. In her trembling hands, she held a plastic stick, the second pink line glaring at her like an accusation. "Pregnant." "No, no, no," she murmured, despair flooding her senses. The weight of her situation crushed her spirit. Just 3 months into her relationship with Patrick, everything seemed perfect. He was attentive, romantic, and successful. Everything she had dreamed of. But now, reality crashed down like a tidal wave, washing away her illusions. Her phone buzzed, breaking her reverie. A text from Patrick. "Sorry, babe, have to cancel tonight. Work emergency. Miss you." It was the third cancellation that week, and a deep fear coiled within her. She was barely making rent with 2 jobs and community college classes, and now she was pregnant. "God, if you're out there," she pleaded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't know what to do. I've made such a mess of everything." Kayla had walked away from her grandmother's faith after her passing 2 years ago, but now, alone and terrified, she found herself longing for that connection. Determined to confront Patrick, she drove to the address he had given her, desperation propelling her forward. But impulsively, she posted a photo on Instagram, her and Patrick at their last date, arms around each other, both radiating happiness. The caption read, "Even when life gets complicated, grateful for this man." What followed was not the outpouring of support she anticipated. Instead, her phone exploded with messages, one standing out starkly. "Who the hell are you, and why are you with my husband?" Accompanying it were photos that shattered her world. Patrick in a tuxedo beside a beautiful woman in a wedding dress, his wife, Lola Scott. The realization twisted her insides. "No." She gasped before rushing to the bathroom, her stomach heaving as betrayal clawed at her heart. When Lola's voice came through the unknown number, it was taut with fury. "Is this Kayla Montgomery? You and I need to talk. Now." Kayla opened her apartment door, heart pounding, expecting rage. Instead, she found Lola, a polished woman with grief etched across her face. "How long?" Lola demanded, stepping inside, her voice trembling with barely contained emotion. 3 months. "But I didn't know. It told me he was traveling for work." Kayla's voice broke, tears cascading down her cheeks. Lola's expression softened momentarily, shining a flicker of understanding. "You really didn't know, did you?" "I swear on my grandmother's grave I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Lola sank onto the couch, her anger dissipating into sorrow. "He's done this before. I thought he'd change. We've been trying to have a baby for 10 years. And now," Kayla's heart sank as Lola's eyes narrowed, dark with regret. "Please tell me you were smart enough to use protection." The silence that followed was deafening. Kayla's voice dropped to a whisper. I took a test 2 days ago. It was positive. The air between them thickened with tension, grief, and a strange new bond. Suddenly, Kayla's vision blurred and a searing pain shot through her head. My head, something's wrong, she gasped. As she collapsed, the last thing she heard was Lola's voice, filled with panic, calling for help. In that surreal moment, as darkness enveloped her, Kayla realized something extraordinary. The woman whose life had been torn apart by betrayal was the one rushing to save her. In the stark, sterile embrace of the emergency room, Kayla stirred from the depths of unconsciousness. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like artificial stars, illuminating the stark white walls that felt more like a prison than a sanctuary. The rhythmic beeping of medical monitors pulsed in time with her heart, a constant reminder of her vulnerability. She blinked against the harsh glare, her head throbbing with a pain so intense it consumed her thoughts. A young doctor stood beside her bed, his brow slightly furrowed, as he reviewed charts with a grave intensity. Ms. Montgomery, you're awake. Good. I'm Dr. Patel. You're at Maine Medical Center. You collapsed at your apartment. Do you remember what happened? Kayla's mind was a whirlwind, swirling with fragments of confusion and fear. My head, the pain. She attempted to sit up, but the doctor gently pressed her shoulder back against the pillow, his touch firm, yet comforting. How long have I been out? Easy. You have been unconscious for several hours. We've run some preliminary tests. Your blood work showed something we need to discuss. You're pregnant. About 9 weeks along. Did you know? A wave of nausea washed over her, a mix of dread and an unexpected glimmer of hope. She nodded weakly. I just found out. Dr. Patel's expression softened, but the gravity in his voice remained. Given your symptoms, we need to investigate further. I'm ordering an MRI, but I want to be honest with you, Miss Montgomery. Given the severity and sudden onset of your symptoms, we need to rule out some serious possibilities. Fear snaked its way into Kayla's chest. Like what? We need to rule out a brain tumor, an aneurysm, or other neurological issues. The MRI will give us answers. But the baby, is an MRI safe? She searched his eyes, desperate for reassurance. We'll use protocols specifically designed for pregnancy. The baby should be fine. But Kayla, his voice softened further. We need to know what's causing these symptoms. If it's something serious, we'll need to discuss treatment options. Fear settled like a stone in her stomach as Dr. Patel left the room. Moments later, Lola appeared in the doorway, her face a mask of uncertainty. You stayed? Kayla's voice was hoarse, tinged with disbelief. I called the ambulance. I wanted to make sure you were okay. Lola stepped closer, her demeanor shifting from distant to concerned. They told me about the pregnancy. Confirmed, I mean. Kayla's heart sank. I'm sorry, she whispered, the weight of her circumstances pressing down on her. Lola fell silent for a long moment, her gaze piercing yet empathetic. Patrick doesn't know yet, does he? About the baby? No. Good, don't tell him. Not yet. There was a flicker of something in Lola's eyes, a calculating gleam that Kayla couldn't quite interpret. Let's see what the doctors say first. You're going to need support, and clearly Patrick isn't the supporting type. Why are you being nice to me? Kayla's voice trembled with uncertainty. Lola's smile was tinged with sadness. Because you're just a kid who got caught in my husband's web of lies. And because... She hesitated, her hand unconsciously resting on her own flat stomach. Because I know what it's like to be scared about pregnancy. Just in the opposite way. Days blurred together, a haze of worry and waiting, until Dr. Patel returned with a neurosurgeon, Dr. Karen Morrison, whose expression was grave. The moment Kayla saw their faces, dread coursed through her. Ms. Montgomery, I'm Dr. Morrison. I've reviewed your MRI results. She pulled up images on a tablet, revealing ominous shadows in Kayla's brain. This area here, we've identified a mass. It's a brain tumor. Specifically what we call a grade 3 astrocytoma. The words struck Kayla like physical blows. She felt the air leave her lungs, a cold wave of disbelief washing over her. A tumor? Like cancer? It's a type of brain cancer, yes. It's pressing on your temporal lobe, causing your headaches and the collapse. It's aggressive, and it will continue to grow. Can you remove it? Her voice was barely a whisper, fear and hope battling within her. Dr. Morrison hesitated. Standard protocol would be immediate surgery, followed by radiation and chemotherapy. However, all of those treatments pose significant risks to your pregnancy. How significant? Panic flared in Kayla's chest. They would almost certainly cause severe birth defects or miscarriage. Kayla, I need to be direct with you. The recommendation is to terminate the pregnancy so we can begin aggressive treatment immediately. Kayla's heart raced, fury igniting within her. No. Miss Montgomery, this tumor is life-threatening, if left untreated. How long do I have? If we don't do anything. Her voice trembled, but held a steely resolve. Dr. Morrison's pause spoke volumes. Realistically, 6 months, maybe 8, and the symptoms will worsen. Seizures, vision loss, cognitive impairment, paralysis. And if I wait until the baby is born, I'm 8 weeks now. If I wait until, say, 37 weeks, you'd be in your 3rd trimester when the tumor is at its most dangerous size. The surgery becomes exponentially more complicated. The risk of death, for you and the baby, increases dramatically. Kayla's hand instinctively moved protectively to her stomach. But it's possible? Surgery while pregnant? Theoretically, yes, but the risk. Is there anyone who could do it? Who has done it? Desperation clawed at Kayla's throat. Dr. Morrison hesitated. There are a handful of neurosurgeons in the world with experience in this type of surgery. But Kayla, they won't take the case if you're not willing to consider termination. The liability alone. Then I'll find someone who will. Kayla's voice was resolute, a fierce determination blazing in her eyes. This baby didn't ask to be created from my mistakes. She deserves a chance. I'll find someone who believes that's possible. After the doctors left, their expressions troubled. Lola entered the room, her presence heavy with unspoken words. I heard everything, she said quietly. Kayla, you have to think about this rationally. You're 20 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you. This baby, it's Patrick's. Do you really want to die for his child? This isn't Patrick's baby, Kayla said, her voice firm. This is my baby, my daughter, and I'm going to fight for her. Lola's face was inscrutable. Then you're going to need help, financial help, especially if you're going to search for some miracle surgeon. Let me help you. Why would you do that? Kayla's eyes narrowed, suspicion creeping in. Because, Lola said, her tone charged with an intensity that sent shivers down Kayla's spine. Every child deserves a chance at life, even if her mother made mistakes. Kayla, in her desperation and solitude, failed to notice the possessive undertone in Lola's words. She only heard an offer of help in her darkest moment. Thank you, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Thank you. Lola smiled and squeezed her hand, a gesture that felt simultaneously warm and chilling. We're going to get through this together, I promise. But as Lola stepped out of the hospital that night, her mind churned with plans that had nothing to do with Kayla's survival, and everything to do with the child she carried. If Kayla dies, Lola thought, Patrick and I will raise that baby. She'll finally be mine, the daughter I could never have. And if Kayla survived, well, Lola would ensure Kayla was deemed unfit, unstable, poor, sick. Either way, Lola would get what she'd always wanted, a baby. 4 months had passed since Kayla Montgomery had moved back to her apartment, but the familiar walls felt as foreign as an uninvited guest. Each morning, she awoke to a battlefield within her own body, morning sickness entwined with the oppressive weight of tumor symptoms, transforming the simplest tasks into insurmountable challenges. At 20 weeks pregnant, her belly was a testament to life flourishing against all odds, a poignant reminder of her daughter's presence, yet also a constant source of anxiety and fear. The once vibrant space was now shadowed by uncertainty, and the air felt thick with the heaviness of her situation. Lola, her steadfast friend, had become a beacon of support, visiting daily with warm meals and a comforting smile that brought a flicker of joy to Kayla's weary heart. The sound of Lola's laughter was like music, a gentle reminder that life could still hold moments of brightness. But amid this nurturing friendship, an aching void remained where Patrick used to be, a man who had once filled her life with love, but now stood as a distant echo of betrayal. After admitting to his affair and pleading for her to take care of it, he had cut all ties, leaving Kayla alone to navigate the treacherous waters of pregnancy and illness. Desperation clawed at Kayla, urging her to take action. She devoted her days to research, poring over medical journals and watching surgical videos, her fingers trembling as they scrolled through heartbreaking stories of other women facing her plight. Each tale of tragedy weighed heavily on her spirit, yet amidst the sorrow, a flicker of hope emerged. A few stories ended in miracles. Among these miracles were the names of renowned doctors: Dr. Benjamin Rodriguez, retiring just as she sought him; Dr. Amara Johnson, whose office deemed her case too high risk; and Dr. Andrew Madden, who simply declined. With each rejection, Kayla's tears blurred her vision, a painful reminder of the ticking clock and the growing headaches that crept into her days like unwelcome guests. "This isn't working," Lola murmured, peering over her shoulder at the litany of rejection emails. "You need a different approach." "Like what?" Kayla replied, feeling the weight of her despair. "Appeal to their ego. Make it public. Challenge them. Surgeons like Madden, they crave recognition, awards. Being the one who makes the impossible possible. Make this case too interesting to ignore." A press conference. Kayla's pulse quickened at the thought, a mix of fear and resolve coursing through her veins. Exactly. Share your story. Show your face. Make it impossible for them to ignore you without looking heartless. You're young, sympathetic, fighting for your baby. It's compelling. Kayla hesitated, doubt creeping in. "That feels manipulative." "It's strategic," Lola countered, her eyes gleaming with determination. "You're not asking for charity. You're offering them a chance to do something extraordinary, to save 2 lives, to make medical history." Looking at the ultrasound photo stuck to her refrigerator, Kayla felt a surge of strength. There was her daughter, a fully formed baby girl, kicking and moving, thriving against all odds. "Okay," she said finally, a new fire igniting within her. "Let's do it. Let's challenge them." As Kayla stood in front of the cameras, her hands trembled. At 6 months pregnant, her small frame seemed almost fragile, yet her spirit burned brightly with unyielding determination. Dark circles shadowed her blue eyes, but her voice rang clear and strong. "My name is Kayla Montgomery, and I'm issuing a challenge to the best neurosurgeons in America. I have a grade 3 astrocytoma pressing on my temporal lobe. Doctors say I need to terminate my pregnancy to receive treatment, but I'm not doing that." Placing a protective hand over her belly, she continued, "This baby didn't ask to be conceived in difficult circumstances. She deserves a chance at life. So I'm asking, no, I'm challenging, someone out there to be brave enough to save us both." A sharp question pierced the silence. "What if no one takes the case? What if you die?" Tears filled Kayla's eyes, but her resolve remained unbroken. "Then at least my daughter will have a chance. I've made mistakes, but giving up on her won't be one of them." That evening, Andrew Madden watched Kayla's press conference for the 5th time, his heart constricting with empathy. A seasoned neurosurgeon, he had performed similar surgeries before, yet each case was a gamble. The risk was immense, especially for a young woman with limited resources. His phone buzzed with a text from a colleague, mocking the press conference as mere attention-seeking behavior. Andrew's jaw tightened. This wasn't a ploy. It was a mother's desperate fight for her child's life. Kneeling beside his bed, he opened his Bible to Proverbs 3:5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." Peace washed over him as he prayed. For weeks, God had whispered about Moravian Falls, a place he couldn't quite understand until now. Kayla's plea had ignited something within him, a calling he couldn't ignore. "Lord, I'll go," he whispered, surrender enveloping him. "I don't understand why you want me in a small town, but I trust you." He grabbed his laptop, heart racing as he began drafting an email to Kayla Montgomery, while plotting to relocate his entire practice. The next morning, Andrew shared his plans with Pastor Michael, who sat wide-eyed in disbelief. "You're doing what?" "It sounds crazy, I know. But Mike, when has God ever called us to something that made perfect sense?" The pastor leaned back, contemplating. "You really believe this is God?" "I've never been more certain," Andrew replied, showing him Kayla's photo. "She's running out of time and everyone is telling her to give up her baby. I have the skills to help her, and for some reason God wants me to do it in Moravian Falls." Pastor Michael fell silent, then spoke thoughtfully. "There's a strong Christian community there. Maybe she needs more than surgery. Maybe she needs to encounter the God who sees her." "Elroy," Andrew murmured, realization dawning. The God who sees. Kayla's heart raced as she read Dr. Madden's email. "Dear Miss Montgomery, I watched your press conference with great interest and admiration for your courage. I believe I can help you and your daughter. However, I must be honest. I feel strongly led to relocate my practice to Moravian Falls, North Carolina." "Moravian Falls?" she whispered, memories of vivid dreams flooding back, dreams of a small town where a voice beckoned her to safety. "What's wrong?" Lola asked, peering over her shoulder. "That's in the middle of nowhere. You need a major hospital, not some country clinic." But Kayla felt something primal stirring within her, a knowing that defied logic. I think I'm supposed to go." Lola's expression hardened, then softened with concern. "Honey, that's the tumor talking. You're not thinking clearly." "No," Kayla insisted, her voice steady. "I've been dreaming about this place. God is telling me to go." Lola's disbelief was palpable. "Since when do you believe in God?" "Since I started dying and realized I can't do this alone," Kayla said, meeting her friend's gaze. "My grandmother always said God hears the prayers of the desperate. Maybe he's answering mine." On a night blanketed by the soft glow of moonlight, Kayla lay restless in her bed, the weight of her troubled thoughts pressing down like a heavy shroud. The room was still, save for the gentle sound of her friend Lola's even breathing in the adjacent guest room. The dreams had intensified lately, vivid glimpses of a man with kind eyes and steady hands, his voice echoing in her mind. "Trust me, I have someone there to help you." Such simple yet profound words filled her heart with both dread and an unexplainable flicker of hope. She slid from under her covers, careful not to disturb Lola. The floorboards creaked softly under her weight as she tiptoed to her nightstand, where her grandmother's Bible lay, its pages worn and loved. As she opened it, the scent of aged paper filled her nostrils, and it fell open to a passage that felt like a divine message. Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Tears streamed down her cheeks hot and heavy as she whispered into the stillness. "God, are you really there? Do you care about someone like me? Someone who made such a mess of everything?" In that moment, an overwhelming warmth enveloped her, as though she were wrapped in the embrace of 1,000 gentle arms. A voice whispered in her heart, "You're mine, beloved. I have always seen you. I have always loved you. Trust me." For the first time in months, Kayla's tears were not those of despair, but of hope. "Okay," she whispered, a solemn promise forming on her lips. "I'll go to Moravian Falls. I'll trust Dr. Madden, but please, please protect my baby." 2 weeks later, excitement and terror warred in Andrew's heart as he pulled into Moravian Falls, where the small medical center would soon be his new practice. He had sold his lavish Beverly Hills clinic, donating half of his earnings to medical missions, and used the rest to establish a state-of-the-art surgical suite in this quaint town. As he surveyed the picturesque hills and historic buildings, he felt an unfamiliar peace settle over him, a serenity that whispered of purpose. "Dr. Madden!" A bright-eyed young woman approached him, her smile radiating warmth. "I'm Rebecca. Welcome to Moravian Falls. The whole town's been praying for you. And for that young woman you're going to help." Andrew's heart swelled with gratitude. "You know about Kayla?" Rebecca nodded, her expression earnest. "This is a small town, Doctor. We know everything, and we believe in the power of prayer. You're going to need it." As Andrew stepped inside the medical center, he felt a tear prick at his eye. "Thank you. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Meanwhile, Kayla was on a grueling 8-hour bus ride to Moravian Falls, her stomach in knots from a mix of anxiety and the growing life within her. She swayed between nausea from the tumor pressing against her thoughts and flickering moments of peace, each reminiscent of the comfort from her dreams. Lola, ever the supportive friend, refused to leave her side, despite Kayla's protests. As they arrived at the small bus station, Kayla's heart raced. There he was, Dr. Madden, waiting beside a silver SUV, just as he had appeared in her dreams. Their eyes locked across the expanse of the parking lot, an instant recognition igniting between them, a connection woven by fate and faith. "Ms. Montgomery?" Andrew approached with a gentle smile, his voice soothing. "I'm Dr. Andrew Madden. Welcome to Moravian Falls." Kayla's legs trembled as she stood, her 6-month pregnant belly a poignant reminder of her struggles. "Thank you for everything, for believing I'm not crazy." "You're not crazy. You're a mother fighting for her child," he reassured her, his eyes kind and warm. "And you're not alone anymore." Lola stepped forward, her smile not quite reaching her eyes as she extended her hand. "I'm Lola Scott, Kayla's friend. I'll be staying to help her through this." Andrew's expression flickered with concern, a discerning glimmer that hinted at deeper complexities. He shook her hand politely. "Of course. We'll make sure Kayla has everything she needs." Inside his small office, equipped with cutting-edge diagnostic tools, Andrew examined Kayla's MRI image. "The tumor is here," he pointed, his voice steady. "It's pressing against your temporal lobe. If left untreated, it will continue to grow." Kayla's hand instinctively moved to protect her belly. "But you can remove it without hurting my baby?" "I can. Surgery is delicate, and there are risks. But I believe God brought us together for this moment," he explained, meeting her gaze with unwavering sincerity. Tears spilled down Kayla's cheeks. "You really believe that? That God cares about me?" Andrew's expression softened. "I know he does. You might not understand why you went through what you did. The betrayal, the fear, the diagnosis. But God sees you, Kayla. He calls you by name. And he has a plan for you and your daughter." In the corner, Lola shifted uncomfortably. "That's lovely, doctor, but what Kayla needs right now is medical expertise, not a sermon." Andrew's gaze turned to her, the sharpness in his eyes reviewing his steadfast belief. "Medical expertise and faith aren't mutually exclusive, Mrs. Scott. In fact, I find they work best together." Later that evening, Andrew had arranged for Kayla to stay in a charming cottage near his home, complete with a garden and a view of the mountains. The tranquility of the setting was a stark contrast to the tempest swirling within her. Alone in her bedroom, Kayla knelt beside the bed, her pregnant belly making it awkward. She felt foolish, but some invisible force compelled her to pray. "God, if you're there, if you really care, please help me. I'm so scared. I don't want to die. I don't want my baby to die." As she waited, half expecting silence, an enveloping warmth returned, stronger now, igniting her soul. The voice wrapped around her like a blanket. "You're mine, beloved. I have always seen you. I have always loved you. Trust me." Kayla wept into her hands, this time with tears of hope. Over the next 2 weeks, as they prepared for surgery, Andrew and Kayla spent countless hours together. He patiently taught her about the brain, the procedure, and the trials of the journey ahead. More than imparting medical knowledge, he shared the message of Jesus, illuminating her heart with newfound understanding. "The thing about God," Andrew explained one evening as they sat on the porch, fireflies dancing like tiny stars around them, "is that he doesn't love you because of what you do. He loves you because of who he is." Tears streamed down Kayla's face as a smile broke through her fears. That's how you look at me, like I'm worth something. Because you are. You're worth everything to God, worth enough that he sent his son to die for you," Andrew replied gently, his eyes glimmering with sincerity. As the stars twinkled overhead, Andrew led Kayla in a prayer of salvation. When she finished, a remarkable lightness filled her. A joy she had never experienced began to unfold within her heart. "I feel different," she whispered, eyes wide with wonder. Andrew smiled through tears, his heart swelling with pride and joy. "That's the Holy Spirit, Kayla. You're his now. You're a new creation." And in that moment, the night air shimmered with the promise of healing, a journey just beginning, molded by faith and intertwined destinies. In the quaint solitude of her cottage, Kayla had found peace after weeks of chaos, the gentle chirping of crickets and the rustle of leaves soothing her frazzled nerves. The lavender-scented air wrapped around her like a warm embrace, cradling her worries as she prepared for the arrival of her child. But tranquility shattered when the door creaked open, and in stepped Patrick, the man she never thought would breach her sanctuary again. His presence was a storm, fury etching deep lines across his handsome face as he confronted her, with a voice that resonated like rolling thunder. "You can't just disappear with my child." Kayla's heart raced, fear and anger coursing through her veins. She instinctively placed a hand on her burgeoning belly, feeling the life within, and said quietly, "You have a wife. You lied to me. You used me." The weight of his betrayal settled heavily on her chest. Patrick stepped closer, his desperation palpable. "That doesn't change the fact that this is my baby." It felt like a lion stalking its prey, and Kayla instinctively backed away, her breath coming in quickened gasps. Just as the tension threatened to explode, Andrew, the towering figure who had become her protector, appeared in the doorway. His voice was firm, yet calm, embodying the steadiness Kayla so desperately needed. "Mr. Scott, you need to leave, now." Patrick's eyes darkened, fueled by rage and confusion. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Dr. Madden, Kayla's surgeon, and you're trespassing and causing stress to a very ill patient," Andrew replied, his stance radiating authority. The room crackled with tension, the air thick with unspoken confrontation, until Lola, who had been a constant presence in Kayla's life, intervened softly, touching Patrick's arm. "Come on, let's let Kayla rest. All this tension is not good for the baby." Once the door clicked shut behind them, Kayla collapsed into a chair, trembling as her world tilted on its axis. "I'm sorry, I never wanted him to know where I was." Andrew knelt beside her, concern etched on his face as he checked her pulse. "It's not your fault, but Kayla, I need to ask you something. Do you trust Lola?" Kayla blinked, the question igniting a flicker of doubt within her. "She's been so supportive. She's the only one who believed I should keep my baby." Andrew's eyes narrowed slightly. "Has she said anything about wanting to adopt your child?" Kayla's breath hitched. "How did you—" "Because I've been praying for wisdom about your situation, and God's been showing me things. Kayla, I think Lola's motivations aren't what they seem. I think she wants your baby for herself." The words slashed through Kayla like a winter's chill. "No," she shook her head defiantly. "She's my friend. She's been taking care of me." "Has she? Or has she been isolating you, making you dependent on her?" The gentleness in Andrew's voice was underlined by urgency. "Kayla, I'm not trying to scare you, but I think you need to be careful." That night, sleep evaded Kayla, her mind whirling with doubt. As she crept downstairs for a glass of water, she overheard Lola's chilling voice slicing through the silence of the night. "Of course I'm being supportive, Patrick. The more she trusts me, the easier it'll be to prove she's unfit. Kayla's heart plummeted, and she pressed a hand over her mouth to stifle a gasp. The betrayal cut deeper than she could have imagined. If she does survive, we document every mistake she makes, every moment of weakness. Post-surgery recovery, single mother, no support system. No judge will think she can handle a newborn alone. Kayla backed away slowly, tears spilling down her cheeks. The one person she thought she could trust had spun a web of deceit around her. Retreating to her room, she felt the weight of despair threaten to suffocate her. But this time, instead of sinking into hopelessness, she opened the Bible that Andrew had given her, her fingers trembling as she traced the words of Psalm 27:10. "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me." "Jesus," she pleaded softly, "Dr. Madden says you love me. I want to believe that. I need to believe that. Please, please help me." The morning light poured through the window, illuminating a new resolve within Kayla. She gathered her strength and approached Lola, her heart pounding. "I need you to leave. I heard you last night, on the phone with Patrick." Her voice trembled but held firm. "You never wanted to help me. You just wanted my baby." Lola's facade crumbled, revealing a bitter edge. "That baby should have been mine. Patrick and I tried for years. And you, some foolish girl who spread her legs for a married man, you get pregnant by accident?" Kayla flinched but stood her ground, her heart racing with defiance. "I was wrong, but my baby isn't a mistake, and she's not yours. Please, leave. You won't survive without me. You're sick, alone, broke." "She's not alone," Andrew's voice thundered from the doorway, his presence a protective shield. "And she's not broke. All her medical expenses are covered. She has a place to stay, a community praying for her, and a God who loves her. She doesn't need you, Mrs. Scott." Tears filled Lola's eyes, but her bitterness remained. "You don't understand what it's like, wanting a child so desperately." "Then I'm truly sorry for your pain," Andrew replied quietly. "But stealing someone else's baby isn't the answer, and manipulation isn't love." After Lola stormed out, Kayla succumbed to her emotions, breaking down in Andrew's arms. He held her gently, mindful of her fragile state, his hand soothingly rubbing her back. "You're going to be okay," he murmured. "God's got you. I've got you." As the days passed, a strange connection blossomed between them, each moment spent together igniting a spark neither had anticipated. Andrew, once convinced that love was not in God's plan for him after a lost marriage, found himself captivated by Kayla's spirit. Her laughter echoed in his heart, a melody that pulled him in deeper. Kayla, too, felt an attraction that defied logic. Here she was, pregnant with another man's child, and yet her heart raced for the man who had saved her life in more ways than one. One morning, she stared at her reflection, incredulous. "This is ridiculous. You're developing feelings for your surgeon? What's wrong with you?" Yet the truth was undeniable. Her heart had chosen, irrespective of the chaos around her. In a dimly lit bedroom, shadows danced along the walls as Andrew knelt on the cool wooden floor, his heart heavy with turmoil. The pages of his open Bible fluttered slightly as he took a deep breath, trying to find solace in the words he had read countless times before. "Lord, I don't understand what you're doing here. She's my patient. She's 20 years younger than me. She's vulnerable, pregnant, facing life-threatening surgery. These feelings, they're inappropriate. Aren't they?" His voice trembled with uncertainty, each word a plea for clarity. The silence that followed felt deafening, wrapping around him like a suffocating blanket. Then, unexpectedly, a response echoed in his mind, soft yet commanding. "I am writing a love story, my son. Trust the author." Confusion washed over him. "But how can I pursue her?" he thought, desperation creeping into his heart. "She needs to heal first, to find her footing, too." The message continued. "In my time, not yours. But yes, Andrew. What you feel is from me. I'm redeeming all the broken pieces." Stunned, Andrew sat back on his heels, the weight of those words settling into his spirit. God was orchestrating romance amid the chaos that surrounded them. He remembered the essence of the Bible. It was a grand love story, a narrative of pursuit, commitment, and grace. Maybe, just maybe, this was part of the divine plan too. 3 days later, the air in Andrew's office was thick with anticipation as he sat across from Kayla, who was preparing for her final pre-op consultation. Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears, mirroring the storm within him. "I need to tell you something," he started, his professional facade slipping. "And if this is inappropriate, please tell me, and I'll never mention it again." Kayla's heart raced, the chaotic symphony of fear and hope pulsing through her. "Okay," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. "I have feelings for you." The revelation spilled from his lips like a tidal wave. "I know the timing is terrible. I know you're facing surgery and pregnancy and so much uncertainty, but I've been praying about this, and I feel like God keeps telling me to be honest. When I look at you, I don't just see a patient. I see an incredibly brave, beautiful woman who's captured my heart." Tears brimmed in Kayla's eyes, shimmering like fragile glass. "Andrew, I feel the same way. But I'm such a mess. I'm pregnant with another man's baby. I have a brain tumor. I have no idea what my future looks like. How can I possibly—" "We don't have to figure it all out right now," he interrupted gently. "I'm not asking you for anything. I just wanted you to know that whatever happens in that operating room, whatever the future holds, I'm here. Not just as your doctor, as a man who cares deeply about you and your daughter." "What if I don't make it through surgery?" she challenged, fear lacing her voice. Andrew's jaw clenched at her words. "Don't say that." "But what if?" she pressed, her voice rising in intensity. "Then I'll raise your daughter as my own," Andrew declared fiercely, his heart pounding with conviction. "I'll make sure she knows how brave her mother was, how much you loved her. I'll tell her about your faith, your courage, your beautiful heart." With unsteady legs, Kayla stood and circled the desk, her heart pounding in her chest as she took his hands in hers. "I love you," she whispered, the words tumbling out like a long-held secret. "I know that's crazy and too fast and makes no sense." "I love you too," Andrew breathed, cupping her face gently, savoring the moment. "May I kiss you?" Their first kiss was tender, reverent, a sealing of promises in faith. Andrew was careful, mindful of Kayla's condition. Yet the electricity between them was undeniable. When they finally pulled apart, Kayla murmured, "That was my first real kiss, the first one that mattered." Andrew rested his forehead against hers, hope blossoming in his chest. "We're going to have a lifetime of kisses, Kayla. I believe that with everything in me." The night before Kayla's surgery, the church in Moravian Falls glowed with candlelight as a prayer vigil enveloped the space. The entire town gathered, their faces illuminated by faith and concern for the young woman who had captured their hearts like a spark igniting dry grass. "We believe in the power of prayer," Pastor Rebecca, who Kayla learned was also a nurse, proclaimed. "And we believe that God has brought Kayla here for a purpose. So tonight, we stand in agreement for complete healing, for Kayla and for baby Grace." Tears streamed down Kayla's cheeks as she leaned closer to Andrew. "Grace," she whispered. He smiled, his eyes warm with understanding. "That's what you're naming her, isn't it? Because that's what God's shown you." Kayla nodded, overwhelmed. "How did you know?" "Because I asked God what her name should be, and he told me the same thing." Waves of peace crashed over Kayla as the congregation prayed for hours, a powerful tapestry of hope woven through the air, assuring her that whatever lay ahead, she was cradled in divine love. But then, at the stroke of midnight, chaos erupted. Patrick, Kayla's estranged partner, barged into the church, intoxicated and furious. "This is insane," he shouted, his rage filling the room like a storm. "You're all insane. Praying isn't going to save her. This quack doctor is going to kill her and my baby." Andrew instinctively moved to interject, but Kayla stepped in front, hand protectively resting on her belly. "Patrick, you need to leave." "That's my baby," he shouted, staggering toward her, but several men from the congregation stepped in front of him, forming a wall of protection. "That baby," Kayla said resolutely, "is a gift from God, a life that deserves love, stability, and peace, things you can't give her. I've already signed papers. If anything happens to me, Andrew will be her legal guardian." Patrick's face twisted in disbelief. "You can't do that. I'm her father." "You're a stranger who lied to me," Kayla replied quietly but firmly. "You abandoned Lola, and you would have abandoned me too. I'm done letting you have power over my life. The court will see all the documentation of your alcoholism, your lies, your abandonment," Andrew interrupted, his voice steady. "They'll see a mother who fought for her child's life, and a man who only showed up when it suited him." Patrick stumbled back, his rage collapsing into despair. "You don't understand. I lost everything, my marriage, my job, because of your own choices," Kayla said, her voice softer now. "Patrick, I pray you find Jesus. I pray you get help. But my daughter isn't going to be raised in chaos. She's going to know love, faith, and stability. With him?" Patrick jabbed his finger toward Andrew. "You barely know him." Kayla clutched Andrew's hand tighter. "I know he's a man of God. He's proven his love through action. He's willing to be a father to a child that isn't biologically his. That's more than you've ever offered." The finality in her voice pierced Patrick's anger, forcing him to truly see her. The naive girl he had seduced had transformed into a formidable woman, forged by fire and faith. "I hope it works," he said finally, his voice quiet, almost broken. "I hope you survive. I hope she's happy." With that, he turned and left, the tension in the church dissipating like fog in the morning sun. In the operating room, Andrew had gathered the finest team he could assemble. Dr. Sarah Chen, the perinatologist, monitored baby Grace's heartbeat, while an anesthesiologist, specializing in pregnant patients, meticulously administered medications. Kayla was awake for part of the procedure, a necessary component of the brain surgery, and as the moment drew near, Andrew held her hand tightly, grounding them both. "Remember," he whispered softly, "God's got this. I'm just his instrument." "I love you," Kayla murmured, her eyes reflecting both fear and faith. "I love you too. See you soon." The surgery stretched on for 9 excruciating hours. Andrew's hands, trained by years of practice and guided by divine wisdom, moved with precision. He could almost feel the prayers of the congregation wrapped around him, an invisible shield of strength. When complications arose, Andrew fought back panic, praying silently for guidance. Each time clarity emerged, a whisper of reassurance guiding his hands. "Baby's heartbeat is strong, Doctor," Chen announced periodically, her voice a beacon of hope. "She's a fighter like her mama." Finally, impossibly, Andrew closed the last suture, his heart pounding in disbelief. Tumors out, clean margins, no apparent damage to surrounding tissue. He looked up at his team, eyes shining with triumph. She did it. They both did it. The operating room erupted in quiet celebration, a wave of relief washing over them all. Kayla woke slowly, the sterile scent of the hospital mingling with the sweet fragrance of new life. Her eyes fluttered open to find Andrew's face, tired yet beaming with joy. "Grace?" she gasped, her voice thick with emotion. "Perfect. Strong heartbeat, active movements. She's fine, Kayla." "And the tumor?" "Gone. All of it. Clean margins, no signs of spread. You're going to be okay." Tears streamed down Kayla's cheeks, her hand instinctively moving to her belly where Grace kicked reassuringly. "Thank you, Jesus," she whispered, her heart overflowing with gratitude. Andrew kissed her forehead, his own eyes glistening. "I've been thanking him all day." 3 months later, on Thanksgiving Day, Grace Eleanor Madden was born, a miracle wrapped in soft blankets, weighing 6 pounds, 8 ounces. She had Kayla's blue eyes and a head full of dark hair. When Andrew held her for the first time, tears streamed down his cheeks, each drop a testament to the love he felt. "Hello, little one," he murmured, voice thick with emotion. "I'm going to be your daddy, if that's okay with you." Grace wrapped her tiny hand around his finger, and in that moment, Andrew felt his heart expand in ways he never knew possible. Kayla watched from her hospital bed, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. "She knows you already. She's been hearing your voice for months." "Kayla." Andrew sat beside her carefully, cradling Grace in his arms. "I know we said we'd take things slow, but I have a question I can't wait to ask." With a clumsiness born of emotion, he fished a ring box from his pocket. "Andrew!" Kayla gasped, disbelief lighting her eyes. "I want to do this right. I want to marry you, adopt Grace legally, build a life together. I want more children, if God blesses us with them. I want Sunday dinners and school plays and teaching Grace about Jesus. I want forever, Kayla. Will you marry me?" "Yes." Kayla laughed through tears of joy. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." The ring was simple yet stunning. A sapphire surrounded by diamonds. "Sapphire like your eyes," Andrew explained with a grin, "and diamonds because you've been refined by fire and came out brilliant." Their kiss was sweet, interrupted only by Grace's indignant squawk, causing both parents to burst into laughter, their joy echoing in the room. "She's going to keep us on our toes," Kayla said, a smile stretching from ear to ear. "I'm counting on it," Andrew replied, his heart full as they embraced their new beginning. In the quaint town of Moravian Falls, under the gentle glow of a late afternoon sun, the air buzzed with anticipation as loved ones gathered in the familiar church that had once been a sanctuary during dark times. 6 months had passed since Kayla's surgery, a battle that had tested her spirit, but today she was radiant as she walked down the aisle, dressed in a simple white gown, its fabric adorned with a tiny handprint from Grace, now a spirited 6-month-old. Sitting in the embrace of Pastor Rebecca, Kayla was the epitome of beauty and resilience. Andrew stood at the altar, his heart pounding in rhythm with the soft music that filled the air. At 21, Kayla was not just a bride. She was a beacon of hope, her faith shimmering in her eyes like sunlight breaking through the clouds. As she approached him, time felt suspended, and the worries of the past faded away, replaced by the bright promise of their future. "Who gives this woman to be married to this man?" Pastor Rebecca inquired, her voice echoing against the wooden beams of the church. "God does," Kayla replied, her voice clear and unwavering. "And I accept his gift gladly." This unconventional but sincere proclamation resonated throughout the gathering, filling hearts with warmth. The vows they exchanged were woven with threads of vulnerability and deep emotion. Andrew's voice trembled as he poured out his heart. "Kayla, you came into my life when I needed you most. You taught me that God's plans surpass our understanding. I vow to love you fiercely, to cherish you, and to guide our family in faith. I will be the father Grace needs and the husband you deserve. I promise to see you as God sees you, beloved and beautiful." Tears streamed down Kayla's cheeks as she responded, her voice heavy with gratitude. "Andrew, you saved my life in ways I never thought possible. You showed me what love truly means, sacrificial and rooted in faith. I vow to support your calling and to build our home on the foundation of faith, teaching our children about the Jesus who redeems all things." When Pastor Rebecca pronounced them husband and wife, Andrew tenderly cupped Kayla's face. "Hello, Mrs. Madden," he whispered, the joy in his eyes mirrored in hers. "Hello, Dr. Madden," she replied, and they sealed their vows with a kiss that ignited applause and shouts of praise from the congregation. Grace, nestled in Pastor Rebecca's arms, squealed with delight, instinctively sensing the love that enveloped their newfound family. The reception was a celebration of joy and community, where fragrant dishes overflowed from tables and laughter danced in the air. Under twinkling lights, Andrew held Kayla close for their first dance, swaying to a worship song that spoke of God's faithfulness. "I can hardly believe this is real," Kayla murmured against his chest, the warmth of his embrace wrapping around her. A year ago, I was alone and terrified. Now I'm here with you, married and healthy. It feels like a dream. Andrew smiled softly, stroking her hair. It's God's dream for you. He always envisioned this moment, even when you couldn't. As they cut the cake, Andrew leaned in, whispering playfully, "Are you ready to leave this party and start our honeymoon?" Kayla flushed, giggling. "We're only going to your house. Our house." "Our house," he echoed, satisfaction in his voice. "With our daughter, our family, and tonight I get to love my wife the way God designed." The heat in his gaze made her heart flutter. They had been intentional during their courtship, honoring God and each other's boundaries. But tonight, those boundaries would joyfully dissolve. As the night deepened, Andrew carried Kayla over the threshold of their home, a haven adorned with fresh flowers, flickering candles, and soft music, all meticulously prepared. "Welcome home, Mrs. Madden," he said, his voice filled with tenderness. Kayla surveyed their new space, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It's beautiful." "You're beautiful," Andrew replied, tracing her wedding band with reverent fingers. "Tonight isn't merely about intimacy. It's a celebration of worship, unity, and trust. We have a lifetime ahead of us." Kayla's eyes shimmered with tears. "How did I get so blessed?" "That's my line," Andrew teased gently, leading her toward their bedroom, which glowed warmly in candlelight. Rose petals scattered across the bed, a sweet touch from Pastor Rebecca. Turning to face her, Andrew's hands rested lightly on her shoulders. "We can take this slow, if you're nervous." "I'm not nervous," Kayla whispered, a spark of excitement lighting her gaze. "I've waited my whole life for this. Real love. Someone who cherishes all of me and loves God first." With a hesitant but determined smile, she reached for his tie, her fingers trembling with anticipation. Let me do this," he whispered, taking her hands and slowly untying his tie, his movements deliberate and tender. Then, he carefully unzipped her dress, his heart racing. "You're a gift, Kayla. I'm going to spend my life unwrapping the beauty of who you are." As her dress slipped to the floor, Kayla stood before him in delicate white lace, a vision of grace and vulnerability. The scar from her surgery, a mark of her journey, was beautiful in Andrew's eyes, a testament to God's faithfulness. "You're exquisite," he breathed, echoing words from the Song of Solomon. With newfound courage, Kayla started unbuttoning his shirt, her heart racing. "And you are outstanding among 10,000, she whispered, tears of joy welling up in her eyes. "I love you, Andrew." "I love you, Kayla, so much," he responded, lifting her gently onto the bed. Their kisses deepened as they surrendered to the love that had blossomed between them, transcending boundaries and igniting a fire of passion. The night unfolded in a symphony of exploration and discovery, their souls intertwining in a sacred dance of love and trust. Each caress was a testament to their commitment, a physical expression of their hearts laid bare before each other. Breathless and entwined, they lay in the soft glow of dawn, hearts beating as one. That was... Kayla struggled to find words. "Perfect," Andrew completed, dotting kisses across her forehead, savoring the sweetness of their union. As they lay there, fingers intertwined, Kayla whispered, "Thank you for waiting, for honoring me, for showing me what real love looks like." Andrew chuckled softly. "Get used to it, because I plan to make you feel this way every day for the rest of our lives." As days turned into weeks, life settled into a beautiful rhythm filled with laughter and love. Andrew's medical practice thrived, becoming a beacon of hope for many, while Kayla discovered her passion for counseling, yearning to help others navigate their struggles. One morning, however, Kayla awoke feeling nauseated, and Andrew's keen eye recognized the signs immediately. "Kayla, are you pregnant?" he asked, hope bubbling in his chest. Her eyes widened. Maybe. My period's late, but I thought it was just stress from school." Andrew's heart raced as he calculated their next steps. "We should test, but we need to keep a close watch given your medical history." A flicker of fear crossed Kayla's face. What if the tumor comes back? What if... "Hey, Andrew soothed, cupping her face in his hands. Remember who's in control. We'll monitor everything closely, just like we did before. The pregnancy test confirmed their hopes. Kayla was pregnant. As the days passed, they learned to navigate the joyful anticipation, but it was accompanied by a weight of concern. Andrew scheduled an MRI, and as they waited in the exam room, Kayla held Grace in her arms, surrounded by love rather than fear. When the radiologist called them back, Andrew stood beside her, reading the images displaying on the screen. There, he pointed, his voice thick with emotion. Completely clear, no sign of tumor regrowth. You're healthy, Kayla, and our baby is growing in a perfectly healthy mother. Tears streamed down Kayla's face, gratitude washing over her like a river. Really? Really, Andrew affirmed, placing his hand on her still flat stomach. Their son, Samuel Emmanuel, was born strong and healthy, an embodiment of God's promises fulfilled, bringing their family closer, solidifying their faith in the divine design of their lives. They welcomed him with open arms, hearts bursting with love and laughter, and a future shining brightly ahead. On a vibrant Sunday morning in Moravian Falls, the Madden family's entrance to the community church was a spectacle of joyful chaos. The sun filtered through stained glass, casting colorful patterns on the wooden pews as Andrew shepherded their rambunctious twins, while Kayla delicately arranged Grace's Sunday school materials, all the while keeping a watchful eye on Samuel, who was eager to race down the sanctuary aisle. As they settled into their usual pew, Pastor Rebecca's warm smile melted the chaos into a sense of belonging. The Maddens are here, now service can begin. The congregation erupted in affectionate laughter, the sound filling the air with a palpable sense of love and community. The Madden family had become a cherished symbol of hope and redemption, a living testament to the transformative power of faith. During the worship service, Kayla stood close to Andrew, their children nestled around them. As she lifted her voice in praise, her heart flooded with gratitude and reflection. Memories of her past, a terrified 20-year-old girl, lost and alone, washed over her. She had been convinced that God had abandoned her, but here she was at 28, surrounded by love, beside a man who cherished her and children who were her greatest blessings. The faint scar at her hairline whispered stories of battles fought and won. Markers of her journey that she no longer hid but wore proudly. As the congregation sang, "Great is thy faithfulness," tears streamed down Kayla's cheeks, each drop a release of the joy and sorrow intertwined in her past. Andrew noticed her tears and pulled her close, continuing to sing while cradling her in a cocoon of love. Grace, concerned, tugged at her mother's skirt. "Mama, why are you crying?" Kayla knelt to meet her daughter's gaze, her heart swelling. "Because I'm so happy, sweet girl. Because God is so good." Grace's face brightened with understanding, and she returned to coloring her church bulletin, affirming, "He is good." After the service, a young woman approached Kayla, her demeanor hesitant. With hollow eyes and a fragile frame, she was a mere shadow of the vibrant person she longed to be. "Mrs. Madden, I heard you speak at the pregnancy center last month. I'm the girl who came up to you after." Recognition illuminated Kayla's face. "Of course. How are you? How's the baby?" The young woman's tears spilled over, her voice trembling as she spoke. "That's why I wanted to talk to you. I was going to have an abortion. I had the appointment scheduled, but then I heard your story, and I couldn't do it. I canceled the appointment." Kayla's heart ached as she hugged the girl tightly. "Oh, honey, that took so much courage. But I'm scared. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have support like you did." The fear in her eyes mirrored Kayla's past. Interrupting gently, Kayla said, "You have us. You have this church. You have me. We're going to walk through this together, okay? You're not alone." As Andrew joined them, they quickly connected the young woman with resources, offering her shelter and support, a lifeline that filled her with renewed hope as she walked away with Pastor Rebecca by her side. Andrew wrapped his arm around Kayla's waist, pride swelling within him. "You're changing lives," he said softly. "We're changing lives," Kayla corrected, her voice filled with conviction. "This is our ministry, the one God prepared for us through everything we went through." As the sun set, casting a golden hue over their home, Andrew led Kayla into their dimly lit bedroom, a surprise awaiting her. The room flickered with candlelight, soft music playing in the background, and roses strewn across the bed. "What's all this?" Kayla asked, her heart fluttering in delight. "It's our anniversary. 7 years since you stepped off that bus in Moravian Falls." Kayla chuckled lightly. "That's not technically our anniversary. It's the day our story really began," Andrew asserted, placing a small box in her hands. "Open it." Inside lay a delicate necklace adorned with 5 birthstone charms. Kayla's breath caught as she recognized each one, honoring their children, until she noticed a 5th charm, glowing softly. "This birthstone. This is for April, but none of our children. For the baby you're carrying," Andrew whispered, his eyes sparkling with hope. "I'm guessing she'll be born in April, and I'm guessing she's a girl." Kayla laughed lightly, disbelief mingling with joy. "You can't possibly know that." "I have a feeling, just like I had a feeling about you." As she fastened the necklace around her neck, a warmth enveloped her, the weight of their journey palpable in the air. 7 years of marriage had deepened their love, igniting a spark that still made her heart race. "I love you," she whispered, the words tumbling from her lips with sincerity. "More than I ever thought it was possible to love someone." Andrew pulled her close, their kisses igniting a familiar passion that spoke of years shared and battles fought together. As they celebrated their love, the tender dance of their bodies became a testament to the beauty of their journey. As the candles flickered low, Kayla recalled their wedding night, her voice soft with nostalgia. "Do you remember? You were so nervous." "Every detail," Andrew said, his smile warm. "I was terrified I wouldn't know what to do." "And now?" Kayla chuckled, her touch lingering on his chest. "Now I know exactly what to do." Their laughter and love echoed through the quiet night, a melody of intimacy and trust. Months slipped by, and a documentary titled Push, When Prayer Moves Mountains, premiered at a Christian film festival, swiftly going viral, capturing hearts across the globe. The Madden family watched their story unfold on screen, their children wide-eyed with wonder. Glace exclaimed, "Mama, you were so brave." "I was so scared," Kayla admitted. "But God gave me courage." Samuel chimed in, "And Daddy left his big hospital to come help you." "Because that's what you do when God calls you," Andrew explained, his voice steady. "You obey even when it's hard." As phone calls and emails flooded in, one stood out, a lifeline from a woman named Jennifer. Her words trembled with desperation, but also with newfound hope. "I watched your documentary while sitting in an abortion clinic waiting room. I'm 23, pregnant, and was told my baby has a heart defect that might not be compatible with life. Doctors recommended termination. But then I watched your story. I walked out of that clinic. I don't know what will happen, but I know I can't give up without trying. Thank you for showing me that miracles are possible when we trust God." Kayla's tears flowed freely as she read Jennifer's email aloud to Andrew. "Our story is saving lives. Not just Grace's life, other babies' lives too." "That's the power of testimony," Andrew replied, his voice thick with emotion. "When we share what God's done, it gives others faith to believe He'll do it again." Time continued its march, leading them to Grace's 8th birthday, a celebration that transformed their home into a whirlwind of laughter, cake, and love. Surrounded by family and friends, Kayla's heart swelled with gratitude as she watched Grace blow out her candles, her vibrant spirit a testament to the miracle of life. Later, as the festivities waned, Grace approached her parents, her expression serious. "Mama, Daddy, I need to ask you something." Concern washed over their faces as they sat down with her. "What is it, sweetie?" Kayla asked gently. "Emily at school said that Daddy isn't my real daddy because he didn't make me. She said my real daddy is someone else." Grace's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Is that true?" Kayla's heart shattered, but Andrew remained calm, prepared for this moment. "Grace, come sit with me." He pulled her onto his lap. "Emily is right that I didn't help create you biologically. but she's wrong about what makes someone a real daddy. A real daddy is someone who loves you, who takes care of you, who shows up every single day. A real daddy is someone who chose you, who wanted you, who would do anything for you. By that definition, I am absolutely your real daddy. Kayla watched as Andrew spoke, his voice filled with conviction. Patrick wasn't ready to be a father. That's sad, and it's his loss. But Grace, you need to understand something. You were never unwanted. I wanted you desperately. And God brought Daddy into our lives because he knew you needed him. Grace's brow furrowed as she processed the revelations. So Daddy wanted me too, even though I wasn't his? Especially because you needed me, Andrew said, his voice thick with emotion. The moment I saw you being born, the moment I held you, I knew you were my daughter. Not because of DNA, but because God gave you to me. And I have loved you every single day since. Tears cascaded down Grace's cheeks as she absorbed her father's words. In that moment of love and understanding, she wrapped her arms around Andrew, whispering, I love you, Daddy, my real daddy. As they embraced, Kayla's heart brimmed with joy. This was redemption, love conquering biology. This was the gospel lived out, a testament to the power of family, faith, and unconditional love. Cherished memories. The twins, now brave kindergartners, added their own brand of mischief to the household, each day a new adventure unfolding. Kayla, a beacon of strength and resilience, had completed her counseling degree and now dedicated her life to a full-time ministry for women, navigating the stormy waters of crisis pregnancies. A documentary detailing her journey had become a lifeline for countless souls, spreading ripples of hope across the globe. One evening, as twilight cloaked the landscape, Andrew's phone rang, disrupting the peaceful cadence of the evening. The unfamiliar number flickered on the screen, and a sense of unease began to knot in his stomach. Dr. Madden, this is Patrick Scott. The voice on the other end quivered, igniting a firestorm of emotions within Andrew. It had been nearly 9 years since he had heard that name, a name laden with regret and pain. What do you want, Patrick? Andrew's tone was sharp, but beneath it lay a cautious curiosity. I watched the documentary. About Kayla. About Grace. Patrick's voice trembled, the weight of his past heavy in the air. A long silence ensued, as Andrew waited, heart pounding with anticipation. I need you to know something. I've been in AA for 3 years. I've gotten help, therapy. I found Jesus. Andrew held his breath, the words stirring a mixture of anger and hope within him. Why are you telling me this? Patrick's voice cracked. Because in my 12-step program, we make amends to the people we've hurt. I hurt Kayla terribly. I hurt Grace by not being there, and I made your life more complicated. Andrew's heart softened, a flicker of empathy breaking through his initial anger. My life isn't complicated. It's blessed. Kayla is my wife, Grace is my daughter, and we're happy. Your absence didn't hurt us. It made room for God to work. A moment of vulnerable silence enveloped them. Patrick continued, his voice breaking further. I know. I can see that in the documentary. That's why I'm grateful. Grateful that God sent someone to love them the way I couldn't. Grateful that Grace has a real father. Andrew felt the walls around his heart begin to crack. I forgive you. Kayla has forgiven you. And I pray that you continue healing. Thank you. And Dr. Madden, tell Grace. Tell her that I'm glad she has you. Tell her that I hope she has an amazing life. After the call ended, Andrew found Kayla in the kitchen, the scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air.
Quote, Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians 3:20-21. Paragraph. For nothing is impossible with God. Luke 1:37. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. Author's note. This story is dedicated to everyone who's ever faced an impossible situation and wondered if God still does miracles. He does. He absolutely does. To every woman who's been told her pregnancy is inconvenient or impossible, your child has value. Fight for them. To every person who's heard God's voice, calling them to something that doesn't make sense, obey. His ways are higher than ours. To everyone who feels like their mistakes have disqualified them from God's love, they haven't. Grace means unmerited favor. You can't earn it. You can only receive it. P.U.S.H. Pray until something happens.